Good afternoon. This is my Module 8. For this assignment or this module, we were challenged to look at the two types of publics that are present within our school, internal and external. And then we were to expand off of that on how we communicate and how communication looks different between the different external and internal groups. I found this assignment or this module to be fairly easy in terms of the content to learn. We are all pretty familiar with that there's certain groups that are internal and within the school and external groups as well that need to be communicated with. I found it kind of challenging to come up with the formatting and the use of these different ways to display our information through these infographics. But I chose to use the Creately and create my infographic or my poster, if you will, using Creately because I was somewhat familiar with it. I had at least heard of it. And when I opened it up, it looked fairly simple and easy to learn and could allow me to make a pretty simple product that could be very useful as well. So when it comes to what the when it comes to the public descriptions, first of all, in my opinion, the internal public are all the people associated with the school on a daily basis, whether they be employed by the school or whether they be attending the school as a student. These are the people that are there on a daily basis, and they're internal. And can be easily reached in a series of ways that we're going to talk about here in a second. On the flip side, there's the external, and they are also very closely associated with the school, but they may not be present every day within the school. They're going to be people such as parents, although they are very much a part of the school. They're not there every day, and so when it comes to a small school, so kind of talk about my infographic here, my poster. As far as being a small school, I think that one of the things I noticed compared to other people's projects that I've looked at already, communication can be very simple in a small school. I am a teacher at a school that is pre-K through 12, all under the same roof. I can be at the far end of the high school and be at the other end of the elementary school talking to a teacher within 10 minutes. And so because of that, communication doesn't have to be challenging or difficult. Our central office is also right there under that roof. You face-to-face meetings and email and things along those lines is very practical in a small school. So as far as the school board and district personnel, face-to-face meetings are very easy to facilitate. Maybe not so much with the school board, however, their contact information is very easily available through the central office. And they have monthly meetings as well that anybody's open to attend. Our superintendent, I've been graced with probably the most approachable superintendent that there ever was. He can be caught out in the hallway and talked to every morning, drinking coffee and talking to the teachers and other staff members. Very approachable, very easy to get along with for a guy or a person who's in a position of pretty high power within our school district. I feel very comfortable approaching him with anything face to face. He can also easily be reached through email and phone call, cell phone. He makes his cell phone readily available as well. And then he always has a two-way radio on him if you're trying to locate him on school grounds. Our building administrators, they can be communicated, they can be contacted face to face, cell phones, regular school phone as well. We get a daily announcement email sent to us at 6:15 a.m. every Monday through Friday, telling us of the events of the day, as well as some inspirational quotes. Excuse me. From our principal, set out on a timer to come in at 6:15 every morning. So that's something that most teachers get to wake up and read and kind of know how to conquer the day. Teachers and staff, we get communicated to. We have several different people that we have to communicate with, and it depends on who it is, on what mode we use. Face to face would be many of the people on school grounds, as well as parents that come in to speak to us. Email can also be done the same. When it comes to student-led conferences, that's a real easy time to communicate with parents in that form. A lot of teachers use apps to communicate with students and parents, such as the Remind app I commonly use to get a hold of students and remind them of upcoming events. And then we have a secondary Google Drive that we can save files and information that all staff need, and so we have that available. That's how we stay connected with fellow teachers. And then communicating with students, the easiest and the most effective at our school is face-to-face. Although we do have email, many of our students, especially if you get down to the middle school age, they don't tend to check their email very often. We do use quite a few teachers use apps. The one that I'm most common with, like I said before, is the Remind app. We have an intercom system that they do announcements over the intercom every morning. And then we use the School Reach system that can be an automated or a voice of a coach or the superintendent speaking to parents or students through a phone call that comes out. And can give the information, whether it be a school closure for weather, for bad weather, inclement weather, or whether it be a rescheduled practice. It can be done through School Reach. Other ways to communicate on the external side with parents, I just talked about School Reach, but other ways that we communicate with them would be through phone, their phone numbers and emails, and their U.S. postal address are all saved through PowerSchool, and they can be accessed by teachers to get a hold of people. We have a quarterly newsletter that's put out by our superintendent and our principals. School Reach once again. Then we have our Facebook, Twitter, and school website that has a news link, and a lot of things can be shared through that, and information can be readily available. We have a rather heavy following of local people on our social media websites. Student-led conferences, once again, parents can come in, talk to teachers, listen to their student communicate, or listen to their student present about their educational experience. Then we have, when it comes to diverse community members, this can get a little more challenging. We have a lot more different media outlets for these next three groups. You kind of lose the face-to-face aspect on this, but you get quarterly newsletters, still works fairly efficiently. Phone calls, since we are a small community, if you know who to ask, you can usually find anybody in the community's phone number, even if it's a cell phone number. There are some face-to-face opportunities with some of these members. And then some unique ones would be our local or somewhat local newspapers, KOFO radio, and then of course, our social media sites. And kind of the same list is present for small community groups, and then also for our local businesses. And face-to-face and phone call are very efficient, very effective for our local businesses as well. Moving on to our strengths, we are, once again, a small district, and being a small district, we have some very clear strengths when it comes to communication. So first of all, everybody's very approachable. I've mentioned this before, even our superintendent can feel almost like a colleague, and very, very approachable man. Great sense of humor, and makes things, communication not so difficult. Within a small school, communication does not have to be hard. We can make it fairly simple, and the outlets of communication can be achieved through email, phone call, or if you prefer face-to-face, it's only a short walk to the other end of the building to talk to anybody. Additionally, some other strengths would be that our community loves to help and support our school in any way possible. We have one of the most supportive communities, whether it be businessmen and women or just local patrons, and that want to help. Some of our weaknesses on communication. So we don't do a good enough job of asking for support from our community members, giving them the opportunity to support us. We don't make those opportunities available enough. Additionally, communication between parents and students can struggle at times. Teachers calling home to parents doesn't happen as often as it should. We've also been struggling with the possibility on doing redesign, trying to come up with a time to do collaboration amongst teachers and what that would look like, because we don't have good collaboration from amongst teachers currently, and we're working out the kinks on that system right now. And then people are very demanding on your time in a small schools, and that can be kind of a weakness. From the ag teaching side of things and teaching ag and metal shop, for instance, being in a small school, we community members will stop by very commonly throughout a semester, and they have shop projects that they want built, and that take a massive amount of man hours and time to build, and they are kind of our support system and our patrons, and so we have to build that stuff for them. A certain amount of those have to be entertained. Our administration will be very commonly asked for help. For instance, last semester we poured 4 yards of concrete sidewalks that needed to be replaced, and used student labor to help with that. Really great project, but also took a lot of planning, facilitating, and in a bigger school probably wouldn't have been the first. Asking a teacher to do that probably wouldn't have been the first outlet of getting the job done. And then also in a small school, we have, if you're a coach, you're encouraged to get your CDL to drive a bus, and in that case, you're asked to fill in from time to time on bus routes whenever they need it. Overall, I think communication we do pretty good at Central Heights. We don't make it any more difficult than it has to be, but we try to make it as effective as we can. Our current administration is in their second year, and one of their weak points in that last year was communication, and they've done a wonderful job of making it more transparent, making it thinking ahead more often, and getting the information out to the teachers and the staff that need to know it. Thank you.